Module 1, Section 4, and this is going to be Objectives 2 and 3. Objective 2 says solve addition problems using relational number sense, and 3 says solve subtraction problems using relational number sense. Okay, so they're very similar. That's why we're doing them together. So this first example is video games. Okay, so Jasmine is playing a video game, and currently she has 84 points. She needs a total of 243 points to win the game and wants to figure out how many more points she needs. So she writes the following equation representing the situation. Okay, it's not a complete equation because it's missing a number, right? So we need to figure out what that is. Explain how this equation represents the situation, and how would you determine the number of points she needs in order to win. Okay, what I would do to explain this one is your current score, so the current number of points, added the points needed, is going to equal the total number of points. Okay. One way that you will see this represented is part of the points plus another part of the points is equal to the whole amount of the points necessary. Okay, so this is what we're going to concentrate on. Okay, that's kind of the relational number sense that they want you to get to. So if you add two parts, you get the whole. Okay, now how would you determine what she needs? Okay, we kind of did that on a previous problem. You need to work it backwards, right? So what do we need to add to 84 to get 243? You're going to work it backwards. Okay, so 24 minus 84, or 243 minus 84 is equal to what number? Okay, so 243, that's your whole. And if we take away the part that we know, we're going to get the other part. Okay, so doing some borrowing here. So 159 is what's going to go in the blank. Okay, now let's double check it just to be absolutely certain. So over here on the other side, 84, and I'm going to put 159 above it because it's longer. 9 plus 4 is 13. 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 and 8 is 14. And 2. And that's what we get. So 159 is your answer. Okay, this example is using tamales. Okay, so Lupe made 43 tamales for a party and left them on the counter. Her brother and his friends came into the kitchen and ate a bunch of them. When she returned, there were only 15 tamales left. Lupe writes the equation below in order to determine how many tamales her brother and his friends ate. Okay, so you started with 43, you subtracted some, and ended up with 15. Okay, so explain how this equation represents the situation. I kind of just did, right? And how would you determine the number of tamales and Lupe's brother and friends ate? Okay, so remember that part plus part equals whole? Okay, so let's do a little example here. Okay, so it doesn't have to be even, but here's a part, here's another part. We add those, and we get the whole, right? Okay, so what if we started with the whole? That's the 43 tamales, and then we're going to take some of them away because, what was her brother's name? We don't know. Okay, so her brother and his friends ate some of these. So they ate one of the parts, didn't they? And they left another part. So we start with the whole, we minus a part, we get a part. Over here, part plus part equals whole. Okay, so The 43 represents all of them, the whole bunch of tamales. And then the blank represents how many her brother ate. And the 15 represents how many were left. Okay, so how would we determine the number that were left? Okay, we're going to work it backwards, right? So if we know that the whole minus the part equals the part, we also know that the two parts added together equal the whole, right? So 15 add what gives you 43? We could go backwards. We know this is 15. Whoops, the other one's 15, isn't it? That's how many were left. And the whole is 43. So you're going to subtract, aren't you? So 43 minus 15. So we're going to have to borrow. Of course, they're going to give you a lot of practice in borrowing now. Okay. So her brother and his friends ate 28 of them. Squish it in there, sorry. Okay, this screen, we've kind of already talked about that, but here we go. You can use relational number sense to find the missing part of an equation by thinking about the size of each part and what operations or inverse operations might be used. Okay, so if you think about it as whole and the two parts, depends on what you're given, what you need to do. So if you're given the whole and one of the parts, you're going to have to subtract to figure out what the other part is. If you're given two parts and you want to know the whole, you're going to have to add. Okay, the parts are not always going to be the same size though, are they? So that's another thing that you want to think about, the size of each part. Okay, that might help you a little bit. Okay, let's take a look at these. So example 2A, we're finding the missing number in each equation and then checking it. So on A, what number add 27 equals 84? So this is part plus part equals whole. If we're given the whole and one of the parts, we need to subtract to figure out the other part, right? So if you have this many that we have is 84, and we know that 27, that's this part, right? We want to find that part. So we take 27 away from 84. Okay, so 27 minus 84, you can see, or subtracted from 84, right there, they get 57 is their answer. And then you can check it. Okay, I'm going to go through theirs kind of quickly, and then we'll do ours on the next screen. Okay, the next one, 58 minus something is going to equal 27. Okay, so 58 is bigger than 27, isn't it? And if we subtract something from 58 to get to 27, that means this is 58, the whole, and we're going to take 27 of it out. What's left? What's the other part? So we're going to have to subtract, aren't we? And that's what they did. Okay, so 58 minus 27, so we get a 1 there and a 3 there. It's a 31. Okay, now in this particular instance, their explanation doesn't fit the problem, okay? So these numbers are not the numbers that are given, okay? So these are different than those. So you can't compare what they did here to our answer because it's a different problem, okay? So 31 is the answer that goes right there. You can explain, or you can go through here and follow the explanation, but the numbers are off. Okay, let's try C. All right, so 84 is equal to 139 minus something. Okay, so the bigger number, the 139, is the whole thing. And we want to take 84 away from it and see what we have left. Okay, So how do we figure that one out? You're just going to subtract, right? Okay, and this one, 9 minus 4 is 5, 13 minus 8 is also 5. So 55 is what is needed, and they got it this time. And last one here. So 8 plus something is equal to 7 plus 5. Okay, they threw you off on this one. They gave you two numbers on each side. Okay, so if we think of this one as, do you know what a balance scale is? Okay, so you have a little dish on this side, and you have a little dish on this side. Whoops. And they're on a little mechanism that weighs them to see if they're balanced or not. Okay, so they are perfectly balanced if both sides weigh the same. Okay, if they don't weigh the same, the heavier one is going to go down and the lighter one will go up. Okay, but I want them to be the same. Technical weirdness there, sorry. Okay, so what we want is 8 plus 4 on this side, or I looked at their answer. Okay, 8 plus something on this side has to balance 7 plus 5. And they're equal. That's what balanced means. Okay, so let's figure out what this is. 7 plus 5 is 12. So over here, what do we add to 8 in order to get 12? And it has to be 4, doesn't it? Okay, so if I put a 4 in here, I will get 8 plus 4 is 12 on this side, and that's equal to or balances the 12 on this side. Okay, go ahead and try these 4 on your own, and then come back, and let's do them together. Okay, this first one. If we're given that 143 is equal to two numbers added together, these two are the parts, and that's the whole, right? Okay, so if we have the whole is 143, and part of it is 51, how do I find this part? You're going to subtract. Okay, so 143 minus 51. So we get a 2 there and a 9 there. So 92. Okay, let's double check. So 92, add 51. 2 plus 1 is 3. 9 plus 5 is 14. And it checks. So 92 is the correct answer. On F, we have one number subtract another number equals 254. Okay, so the big number minus the smaller one equals a smaller one. So what we have here is the whole is the 675, and we're subtracting something, we don't know what, and we're left with 254. Same situation as before, we're going to subtract to figure the answer. Okay, our biggest number is the 675, that's the whole. You minus one of the parts, you will get the other part. Subtracting here, you don't have to borrow at all, which is nice. So 421 should be that part. Let's find out. So 421, 254, we're checking. And we get that, so it checks. That is our answer. On G, we have some number minus 51 equals 67. So we have a larger number minus a small number gives us a smallish number. Okay, so that is, we're looking for the big number, and then we subtract 51 from it, and we get 67. So we're looking for the whole thing, aren't we? Okay, so we're just going to do 67 add 51 to see what it is. So it should be 118. Let's double check. If we took 118 and subtracted 51, like they have here, so 8 minus 1 is 7, and 11 minus 5 is 6, we get the 67. Okay, so that checks, and that is the correct answer. Okay, the last one here is one of those balance things. Okay, so if I have 164 plus 7 on one side, and then something plus 9 on the other, and I want them to balance, let's figure out what this side is equal to first. Okay, so 164 add 7, that's 11, carry 1, so it's 171. So now this side also has to equal 171. Okay, so 171 is going to be the whole, and we already know 9. We need to find this part, so we're going to subtract. 171 minus 9, we're going to have to borrow. 11 minus 9 is 2. 6 comes down, 1 comes down. So 162 is your answer. Okay, and that's the end of this video.